to you. My name is Manon Voice. I am a poet, a spoken word artist, a writer, a community builder, and social justice advocate. And I will be sharing a poetic selection in celebration of Juneteenth. Juneteenth, also known as Jubilee Day and Freedom Day, is celebrated annually on this day, June 19th, to commemorate the day in June 19th, 1865, when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, to read federal orders to the last of enslaved African Americans in Texas. And those federal orders were announcing that they were free. They were free. Now, what is important to note about this day and this event in history is that the Emancipation Proclamation had actually been issued 2.5 years earlier, and the Civil War had already ended. But since Union troops in Texas were low in number, and Texas was a remote state, considered a remote state compared to the other Confederate states in the South, the African Americans did not learn of their freedom until 2.5 years later, after the Emancipation Proclamation was declared, an executive order. And I think this is important to remember. This day is important to celebrate because it speaks to the fact that even when the government proclaims or has proclaimed freedoms for African Americans, we have still wrestled. We have still struggled to achieve and to attain our own freedom in this country. We have had to do that. We have had to fight, and we have had to struggle, and today it is no different. We are living in 2020, the year of 2020, a critical time in history, this pivotal moment where we are seeing that African Americans, their lives are still not valued. In 2020, we are still shining light on the injustices, on police brutality, on the murders of Black lives. Black lives have always mattered. They have always mattered. Whether the government or the powers that be or the nation has supported that or has proclaimed that or has even acknowledged that, Black lives still have always mattered, and they continue to do so. And this poem speaks to that. It is a poem that I wrote in the celebration of Blackness, where we acknowledge our own dignity, our own power, our own worth as human beings, as the first human beings on this planet. Blackness has always been first. Black lives have always mattered and more than mattered. This poem I wrote years ago is entitled Dark Matter, and I have been performing it, and I will continue to perform it as long as I have to. This poem is called Dark Matter, and I hope it speaks to you today. On the day that the mirror opens to light without shame and blackness is a miracle, we will finally fortune to see our real beauty, dark satin cloth, wrapped around robust winding bones, curving mountains into whispering echoes of gazelles upon galloping plains, gold cobbled rivers, deep-throated songs singing to our ancients our prayers of overcame. On the day that the mirror opens to light without shame and blackness is a miracle, and blackness is a miracle, We then shed the lies that confound the taste of our skin. Like dust in the hands of eulogizing priest, we collect ourselves again in our own palms, retelling our history to ourselves like sacred psalms, while we die to the convent prisons they put us in and burn these liturgies of who they told us we were. On the day that the mirror opens to light without shame, and blackness is a miracle, and blackness is a miracle. We speak our real names. We stretch our mother's wombs to room this belief of this holy lineage from which we descended. We name ourselves queens and anoint our own kings. Passage ourselves with pierced, dotted noses, rose-colored links, diamond-studded teeth, tracing our feet, backbone upon backbone, backbone upon backbone, hip bone to hip bone, chain, neck unnoosed, amethyst lips, bleeding truth, and from the impossibilities behind us, we say no more. No more. On the day that the mirror opens to light without shame, and blackness is a miracle, and blackness is a miracle, and blackness is a miracle. Our fathers will throw feasts for our daughters, will celebrate their sweet 16s with decor of kinky hair, images of big lips and broad hips. Our daughters will no longer see themselves as anomalies, as abnormal, as other, as opposite to white. No, we are who we are. We are what we are. We are who we are. We are what we are. Aye, I share, aye. Black born unto black, like dust, like soil, like earth, like clay, like God speaking into the dark matter of the universe on the first day. There has always been blackness first. And everything is a shadow of our miracle.